Diane Cannon's family and friends for her commemorative speech of her father. And you ready?
On April 15th, 2011, my world as I knew it came to a crashing halt. To me, it was the worst day of my life. My first recollection of that day was like an out-of-body experience. I felt like I was looking down on this little girl who was kneeling in the dirt, sobbing and repeating the same phrase over and over again. No, no, this can't be true. He can't be gone. All I wanted to do was to reach out and hold and comfort her. But to my surprise, I couldn't, because this little girl was me. I had just found the lifeless body of my father in his home, and my first reaction was to just run out of the house and get away from the horrible reality that was now my life. On my way out the door, I tripped and fell to the ground, unable to do anything but beg the Lord to give him back to me. This was the day the man that I loved and admired all my life left this world. My father did not have an easy life. He had a bigger cross to bear than most people can ever imagine having, but his strength got him through the rough times. His children and his grandchildren were his everything, and his sobriety gave him the serenity he needed to get through life. My father was truly an inspiration to me and to everyone who came in contact with him. The asset I admire so much about my father was his strength. No matter how many times he would fall down, he would always pick himself up. And I mean that literally and figuratively. He had a terrible accident at work 4 years ago that left him with 2 shattered ankles and feet and a broken arm. He was in the hospital for half a year with an injury that caused him unbearable pain. The doctors were in shock that my father was still alive. He had fell 4 stories from a ladder and landed on his feet. The doctors couldn't understand how he fell the way he did and didn't crush his skull or break his back. The injury my father sustained to his feet is said to be one of the most painful injuries a person can sustain to their feet, and is something that you can never fully recover from. He had 8 surgeries within the past 4 years, and spent 2 of those years in a cast. So if you can imagine, most of his time was spent on the couch watching TV. Just getting out of bed in the morning was an extremely painful task. But he pushed through the pain because he was determined not to let his injury define him. Even though his injury took a lot away from him, work, baseball, and basically his independence, he was so determined to keep battling through the pain every day. I lived with him for the past 4 years to help him in whatever way I could, and the strength that my father had was such an inspiration to me. He taught me that I could do anything, and to never let anything or anyone keep you down. He always told me, you have to take the good and the bad and make the best out of both. My father's greatest joy in life were his grandchildren. He loved those 3 little angels with every ounce of his soul. My dad looked at his grandchildren as gracious gifts from God, wrapped in beautiful packages that he was so honored to have been given. There wasn't anything he wouldn't do for them. Every time he was around them, you would see a twinkle in his eye, as if a spark had ignited within him that made him feel truly alive and pain-free. The same can be said for his children. There wasn't anything he would not do for us. My father wanted to give us what he thought he didn't get as a boy. And I'm not talking about material things. I'm saying he wanted to be a father that was always there for you with an open heart and an open mind. His love for us was completely unconditional, and he could not have been a better father. Another cross my father had to bear was sobriety. He was cursed with the horrible disease of alcoholism. It took him quite a while to tackle this demon, but when he did, he finally found the peace and the serenity he had been looking for all his life. I was pretty young when my father got sober, but I do remember the changes that took place in him. He became part of a brotherhood that turned a troubled boy into a man. AA gave my father structure and a secure foundation in life that made him a better person and definitely a better father. Again, my father took something that would have destroyed most people's lives and turned it into a learning lesson that only made him a stronger person. We all struggle with challenges in our lives. Some have much harder struggles than others. Some may need to do a lot of soul searching. But one thing I hope everyone can learn from my father is that we all have the strength to tackle whatever life throws in our path. You have to dig down deep and find the strength to get through the tough times. My father carried a heavy cross that he knew was his to bear, but he did it with such dignity and such strength. He also appreciated the beautiful gifts he was given, that of his children and his grandchildren, and bathed in the light of the serenity of sobriety. My father was a great man, the first man I ever loved, and he truly did take the good and the bad and make the best out of each. Dad, you are an inspiration to all. May you rest in the peace you truly deserve. I will always love you.